You know exactly what you need to do. You've known for weeks, maybe months, maybe years. You know you need to start that business, write that book, have that difficult conversation, leave that toxic relationship, apply for that dream job, start taking care of your health, fix that broken friendship, pursue that creative passion you've been hiding. You know. But here's what keeps you up at night. You still haven't moved. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, not because you lack talent or intelligence or resources, but because there's something ancient, something deep within the human psyche that the Japanese discovered centuries ago. A psychological trap so subtle, so invisible, that millions of people live their entire lives inside it without ever knowing its name. It's the reason brilliant people stay in mediocre jobs. It's why talented artists never share their work. It's why relationships that should end drag on for years. It's why dreams die not from lack of ability, but from lack of movement. Today, you're going to learn what it is, and more importantly, you're going to learn how to break free. Chapter 1. The Two Paths. Let me tell you about two people, Kenji and Yuki, both 28 years old, both working dead-end jobs they hate, both dreaming of something more, both knowing exactly what they need to do to change their lives. Kenji wants to start a photography business. He's talented, genuinely talented. His Instagram posts get hundreds of likes. Strangers comment, asking if he does professional work. Friends keep telling him, "You should do this professionally." He knows they're right. Deep down, he's always known. He's researched business licenses. He's priced cameras and lenses. He's watched countless YouTube tutorials on lighting, composition, client management. He's even sketched out a business plan on a napkin at 2 a.m. when he couldn't sleep, his mind racing with possibilities. But 6 months later, Kenji is still sitting at his desk, processing invoices for a company he doesn't believe in, scrolling through other photographers' success stories, feeling that familiar ache in his chest, that suffocating awareness that he's wasting his one precious life. "I'll start next month," he tells himself, "when I have more savings, when I'm more prepared, when I have the perfect website, when I feel more confident, when the time is right." The months turn into years. The dreams stay dreams. Now meet Yuki. Yuki also wants to start a business, a small tea shop inspired by her grandmother's recipes. She's also scared. She also lacks resources. She also feels completely unprepared. She also has that voice in her head listing all the reasons why it won't work. But there's something different about Yuki. 3 months ago, on an ordinary Tuesday morning, not after some grand epiphany, not after winning the lottery, not after reading the perfect self-help book, Yuki did something Kenji couldn't. She moved. Not perfectly, not with complete confidence, not with all the answers, not with a foolproof plan. She simply moved. She registered her business name. She bought her first batch of tea supplies, just one small order. She posted her first product online with a description she rewrote 17 times before finally hitting publish. Today, Yuki serves 20 customers a day. Her little tea shop isn't making her rich yet. She works long hours. She makes mistakes. She learns as she goes. But she wakes up every morning with purpose, with direction, with the electric feeling of being truly alive. What made the difference? The answer lies in an ancient Japanese concept that Yuki understood, and Kenji didn't. Chapter 2. The Paralysis of Perfect Knowledge. In Japanese philosophy, there's a concept called shikata ga nai, which roughly translates to, "it cannot be helped," or "nothing can be done about it." But that's not what we're talking about today. What we're exploring is deeper, more insidious, more personally devastating. The Japanese have long understood something that modern psychology is only now beginning to prove with brain scans and neurological studies. Knowledge without action creates a special kind of suffering. They call this state yuwaku, when combined with chinmoku, the seduction of silence, the comfortable prison of perpetual preparation. Here's what happens in your brain. You know what you need to do. That knowledge, just the knowledge itself, gives you a small hit of dopamine, a tiny feeling of progress. Your brain registers, good. We're aware of the problem. We're thinking about solutions. We're planning. We're preparing. But that's where it stops. Because as long as you're preparing to act, as long as you're planning to move, as long as you're getting ready to start, you get to avoid the one thing that terrifies you most, the possibility of failure. And here's the cruel irony. You also avoid the possibility of success. The Japanese masters understood this centuries ago. They saw how students would spend years preparing to paint their masterpiece, studying before taking action, waiting for the perfect moment. And they recognized it for what it truly was. Not wisdom, not patience, not careful planning. Fear dressed up as prudence. Chapter 3. The Weight of Unused Knowledge. Let's go back to Kenji. Every night he watches YouTube tutorials on photography. He reads business books. He follows successful photographers on social media, studying their techniques, their marketing strategies, their pricing structures. He mentally rehearses client consultations. He imagines his studio, the lighting setup, the backdrop, the comfortable chair where clients will sit. He can picture it all so clearly, down to the smell of fresh coffee in the waiting area. And every night, that knowledge gets heavier. Because here's the cruel truth that nobody wants to hear. The more you know what you should do without doing it, the more you suffer. It's like carrying a backpack full of stones. Each day you don't act. You add another stone, another tutorial, another plan, another perfect strategy. Another reason why tomorrow will be better than today. The backpack gets heavier, your steps get slower, until one day you can barely move at all. The Japanese have a term for this too, tsumori, the intention to do something. Living in tsumori is living in the space between knowing and doing. It's comfortable there, safe. You can dream without risking, plan without failing. Imagine success without facing rejection, but it's also slowly killing your spirit. Meanwhile, Yuki understood something profound, something that changed everything. She understood Ichigo Ichi. This moment, this meeting, happens only once. When she felt the fear, when she heard that voice saying, "Wait until you're ready," she recognized it. She didn't fight it. She didn't pretend it wasn't there. She didn't ignore it. She simply chose to move anyway. Not because she was braver than Kenji, not because she was more talented or better prepared or more confident, but because she understood that the gap between knowing and doing isn't crossed by more knowledge. It's crossed by movement. Any movement, even imperfect movement. Chapter 4. The Japanese Secret to Breaking Free. Here's where everything changes. The ancient Japanese masters developed a practice called kaizen, but not in the way modern business gurus use it. Real kaizen isn't about continuous improvement. That's the Western interpretation, the corporate bastardization of something much deeper. The true, deeper meaning is this: small actions dissolve great fears. Yuki didn't wake up one day and launch a perfect business. She didn't quit her job. She didn't take out a massive loan. She didn't rent a storefront or hire employees. She took one tiny step, then another, then another. She bought 1 pound of tea leaves, not 1,000, just one. She made one post on social media, not a complete marketing campaign, just one post. She served her first customer, her neighbor, before she even had a logo, before she had business cards, before she had a perfect plan. Each small action did something magical. It transformed knowledge into experience. It turned "I know I should" into "I did." And here's what the Japanese understood that Western culture often misses. Perfection isn't the goal. Movement is the goal. In traditional Japanese swordsmanship, there's a concept called mushin, no mind. It's the state where you stop overthinking and let your body move naturally, fluidly, instinctively. The master swordsman doesn't think about every technique, every stance, every possible counter move. He acts, but mushin isn't achieved by more thinking, more studying, more preparation. It's achieved by more doing. This is why Kenji is stuck and Yuki is free. Kenji believes that if he just learns enough, plans enough, prepares enough, he'll finally feel ready to move. That one day he'll wake up and the fear will be gone. The doubts will disappear. The uncertainty will transform into confidence. But that day never comes. Because readiness doesn't come from knowledge. It comes from motion. Chapter 5. The brutal truth about waiting. 6 months have passed. Kenji is still at his desk job. He's bought 3 more photography courses. He's upgraded his camera twice. He follows even more successful photographers now. He knows more about f-stops and ISO and shutter speed than ever before, but he's not one step closer to his dream. In fact, he's further away. Because now, the gap between his knowledge and his action has grown so wide, it feels impossible to cross. Because here's what nobody tells you. Waiting for the right time is a trap that has no escape clause. The right time will never come. There will always be one more thing you don't know. One more skill you haven't mastered. One more reason to wait. One more excuse that sounds perfectly reasonable. The Japanese have a phrase, enryosashi, the hesitation culture. They understand it deeply in their society. The excessive modesty, the overthinking, the paralysis of politeness, the fear of standing out, of making mistakes, of being imperfect in public. But the Japanese wisdom traditions also provide the antidote. Shoshin, beginner's mind. Approach your dreams not as someone who needs to know everything, but as someone willing to learn by doing, to stumble, to fail, to try again. Yuki embodied this. Her first batch of tea? Honestly, it wasn't perfect. She oversteeped it. The packaging was amateur. Her first few customers? She fumbled with the payment system. She forgot to include spoons. She made mistakes. Lots of them. Her pricing was too low at first. Her website looked basic. Her social media posts were awkward. Her packaging was nothing special. But she learned, she adjusted, she grew. Not from studying, from doing. Meanwhile, Kenji's knowledge has become his prison. He knows so much about what could go wrong that he's forgotten what could go right. He's trapped in analysis paralysis, and the weight is crushing him. Every day that passes makes it harder to start. Every tutorial he watches adds another layer of expectation, another standard he feels he must meet before he can begin. Chapter 6. The Transformation. One evening, Kenji sees a post from Yuki. She's celebrating her 100th customer. The photo shows her small tea shop, simple but alive. Real. Existing in the actual world, not just in someone's imagination. Something breaks inside Kenji, not in a bad way, in a necessary way. He realizes he's been living in a fantasy. A comfortable fantasy where someday, somehow, when the stars align, he'll be perfectly ready. Where he'll know enough, be enough, have enough confidence, enough money, enough time, enough everything. But that day will never come. And suddenly, with painful clarity, he sees the truth. He's not preparing for success. He's preparing for permanent preparation. That night, instead of watching another tutorial, Kenji does something different, something terrifying. He picks up his camera. He messages one person, just one, and offers to photograph their family for free. His hands shake as he hits send. His mind screams at him. You're not ready. You need more practice. What if you mess up? What if the photos are terrible? But he sends it anyway. That person says yes. The photo shoot isn't perfect. Kenji makes mistakes. The lighting is off in some shots. He fumbles with his settings. He forgets to check the histogram. He has to reshoot several times. It's awkward. It's imperfect. It's real. But something miraculous happens. He feels alive. For the first time in months, he's not thinking about photography, not studying it, not planning it, not preparing for it. He's doing photography. That one small action, imperfect, messy, real, unlocks something in him. A door he didn't know was closed. A path he couldn't see from the safety of his preparation. Within a week, he does another shoot, then another. Within a month, someone pays him. Not much, but something. Real money for real work. Within 3 months, Kenji has a side business. It's small. It's imperfect. It's filled with learning moments and mistakes and growth. It's real. And it all started the moment he stopped knowing and started moving. Chapter 7. The wisdom you need to hear. Listen carefully, because this is the truth that will set you free. You already know what you need to do. You don't need another course, another book, another video, another podcast, another guru, another perfect plan. You need to move. The Japanese concept of wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection, teaches us that the imperfect action taken today is worth infinitely more than the perfect action imagined tomorrow. Your first step won't be perfect. It can't be. That's not how growth works. That's not how mastery develops. That's not how dreams become reality. The photographer learns to see light by taking bad photos, thousands of them. The writer learns to craft stories by writing terrible first drafts, and second drafts, and third drafts. The entrepreneur learns business by making costly mistakes and learning from each one. But here's the secret that changes everything. Every master was once a disaster. The difference is, they moved anyway. They started before they were ready. They failed before they succeeded. They embarrassed themselves before they impressed anyone. Yuki wasn't special. Kenji wasn't weak. The only difference was movement. Yuki chose discomfort over delayed dreams. Kenji chose comfort over change. Until he didn't. Until he couldn't. Until the pain of staying the same became greater than the fear of moving forward. And now, both of them are on their paths. Imperfect. Learning. Growing. Making mistakes. Adjusting. Improving. Living. So, here's my question for you. What do you already know you need to do? What dream have you been carrying, polishing, perfecting in your mind? While it slowly dies from lack of oxygen, what would happen if you took one imperfect action today? Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, not when you have more money, not when you have more time, not when you feel more confident, not when it's perfect, today. The ancient Japanese masters knew something we've forgotten in our modern obsession with preparation. The journey of 1,000 miles doesn't begin with perfect preparation. It begins with one imperfect step. And that step? It's available to you right now, in this moment. Today, not next week, not next month, not when the circumstances are better, not when you feel ready, now. Because here's the final truth, the one that will haunt you if you don't listen. You will never feel ready. But you can always choose to move. You will never have all the answers. But you can always take the first step. You will never eliminate all risk. But you can always act anyway. Choose movement over meditation. Choose action over analysis. Choose the messy reality of today over the perfect fantasy of tomorrow. Your dreams are not waiting for you to be ready. They're waiting for you to move. If this video shook something awake inside you, if you felt that uncomfortable recognition, that mirror being held up to your own hesitation, subscribe to Zen Mindset. We're building a community of people who don't just think about change. We don't just plan for transformation. We don't just prepare for success. We create it imperfectly, courageously, now. And remember this: the gap between who you are and who you want to be isn't crossed by knowledge. It isn't crossed by more preparation. It isn't crossed by perfect planning. It's crossed by courage. One imperfect, messy, beautiful step at a time. The question is, will you take that step today? Your future self is watching, waiting, hoping, desperately hoping that today is the day you stop, preparing and start living. Don't let them down. Move.